Graveyard Show. I'm your ghost host with the most, Spooky Steve. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a movie called The Heretic, starring Sophie Thatcher, Chloe East, Hugh Grant, and Eric from the 70s show. Topher Grace. It's amazing. Check this out.
Are you interested in learning more about the Church of Jesus Christ?
Come on in.
Pretty good, right? At least that's what it looks like so far. Now let's dig into it.
I think that we're being studied.
Two missionaries from LDS, right? The Church of Latter-day Saints. Two little princesses who are gonna go out and spread the word about Jesus Christ, right? And Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon. So that's cool, right? We all love them when they come to the door. We let them in, we hang out with them. That's what this movie's about. So, they get rejected a lot, right? They get made fun of for wearing magic underwear, which isn't cool, right? But they do wear them, but they're not magic, they're just regular, I don't know. You gotta look into that. This isn't a history show. This is a show about the movie, and we'll ruin it right now, so just stay tuned, here we go.
Your hearts beat faster. It may even make you want to die.
Going to Mr. Reed's house, who is Hugh Grant. And Hugh Grant, as you know, is an amazing horror actor. It's where he started with Lair of the White Worm, and he's got about 50 other horror movies that are just fantastic. Not really, he's only got that one, and now this one. But he does a really amazing job in it. I don't know, it's pretty fantastic. Watch the movie, tell me what you think. He knocks it out of the park. Bloody amazing. He is super creepy, totally believable, and just like, right? Come on, look at this.
We can't come inside unless another woman is present?
My wife is home. Does that count?
Great.
You like pie?
Yeah.
My wife has pie in the oven.
I could tell that you are a very spiritually curious person.
I think it is good to be religious, to find your faith in a doctrine you actually believe.
Well, our work here is done.
No.
Sister P and Sister B, or Paxson and Barnes. They are the two princesses played by Chloe East and Sarah Thatcher. They want to go and spread the gospel, like I've already said, and they go because he has requested information on the Church of Latter-day Saints. So they go to his house. He's like, oh, hello. And they're like, hi, can we, tell you about the Church of Latter-day Saints? And it's pouring down the rain and they're soaking wet, and the one girl, Chloe East's Sister P, she's like, we can't come in unless we see your wife. And then Sister B's like, yeah, is she here? And he's like, yeah, she's baking a pie. And they're like, oh, great. So, we'll come in then. And he's like, great, because I'm married and that counts because I don't have a roommate, right? Because they're like, you got a roommate? And he's like, what? I have a roommate? I ain't got no bloody roommate. So they go in, they start chit-chatting, right? The tension builds. It's this cat and mouse type deal where he's asking them questions. He's being real, real polite, real nice. They're a little uncomfortable. You can feel the tension right away, right? Very but it's fascinating, right? Heavy on the dialogue, but it's good dialogue, and it's very intellectual. So, I'm telling you, it's a great horror movie. So, they start talking about the gospel in the Book of Mormon. Well, he knows all about it, and he knows way more than they do, and he kind of blows them out of the water, immediately, and they're like, oh, we're over all heads in this one. This guy knows everything. So he whips out the Book of Mormon, and then he starts talking about the Book of Mormon. And then he starts noticing things. They start noticing things. They're noticing things with each other, right? Staring at each other's faces like this. He kind of goes off. He brings them drinks. There's a candle that says blueberry pie on it.
I will go and check on the pie.
So sleep, silent angel.
That's important because he said his wife was baking a blueberry pie. That's the whole reason they were able to come in to begin with, because they're not allowed to come in unless there's a woman present, right? So, again, the tension's all there. He bounces out, and so the one, Sister B, she takes the candle and slowly spins it around, and I didn't even know what we were doing at that point. I'm like, okay, she's turning the candle. Why would you do that? I have no idea. But she's doing that, and then you find out, right? Because she spins it around, and the candle, and it's in the trailer, right? It says blueberry pie. Yes. So that's when it clicks really good in their heads. Like, wait a minute, this guy knows everything. He wanted to learn more, but he's totally like trumping us on everything when it comes to the Book of Mormon. And I don't think he's making a blueberry pie, or at least I don't think his wife is, because she's never coming in. And they keep asking her, can your wife come in? He's like, oh yeah, she'll be right in. But she never comes in. And now they see that the smell is coming from the candle, right? So now it's like, ooh, what's going on? Well, he keeps going down this hallway through this door, right? And the hallway's dark. It's very creepy. They decide, you know, we're going to bounce. We're going to get out of here. They can't get out. The door's locked and they're stuck. And their phone has no signal, right?
Can you fit through this? You're crazy. We just need to go home.
It happens all the time. No signal. But when they first go in, he says, you're okay with the doors and the walls and the ceilings having metal in them, right? And when he first said that, I was like, that's something weird you would say. I would never say that. And they're like, oh yeah, that's totally fine. Right? I mean, if somebody said that to me, if I was like, hey, come on over to the hall room, come on inside, you don't mind that everything is surrounded by metal, do you? In the walls, ceiling, everything. So they go to follow him right through the black, creepy hallway, and then they see like this spooky face, and it's like a really great scene. But I'm not going to tell you what's there. Anywho, then they get to a room which is like a chapel and a library.
I won't keep you if you wish to leave. But I want you to choose which door to go through based on your faith.
What does this have to do with us leaving?
Everything.
And he has this whole bit where he talks about Monopoly and the history of Monopoly and how things just keep getting redone and better and different, and everybody takes different credit for it, but it's all the same crap, right? Which he ties in with religion, which, you know, it's a religious movie and he ties it in with everything. So again, it doesn't bash religion, so don't be like, oh, I'm not going to watch that because they're going to crap on religion and they're going to crap on my God and they're going to crap. He does a little bit, right? But they, you know, hold their own, and they're like, no, this is blah, blah, blah. And it's all about belief, right? Or disbelief, right? What is your belief? Do you believe? Do you have faith, right? So the movie that way is really great, really good. And he is totally into like telling them like, listen, I've been searching for religion and faith and true God and all this jazz forever and ever, and I could never find it, but then I found the true God. Do you want to know what that is? And they're like, what? And then, but he's doing it real creepy, right? With the Monopoly thing, with this whole metaphor. And then he's playing this song, which is creepy. Tells the story of how other people use that song. And other people have sued everybody who's used that song. But that he equates back to the game, which he equates back to the Bible, the Quran, the Torah. It's amazing, right? So then he writes on one door, faith. And then the other door, I can't remember, what is it, like not faith or disbelief or non-belief, something like that. And they're like, we just want to go. Can we just get out of here, right? This is crazy. We got to leave. He won't let them leave, but he says, look, the locks are on a timer. You can't go out the front door. You got to go out the back. And they're like, what? Just let us out the front door. What the blood is wrong with you? And he's like, well, you got to go out the back if you want to leave. So they're like, fine. So then they're debating, and there's this great scene. I'm not going to tell you about that because it's super good. They decide to go down, you know, and go out the back. Well, once they do that, that's when it gets super duper creepy, and there's stuff down there, and he does stuff, and she says stuff, and they do things together, and the whole while is Topher Grace is the elder, right? So in the church, there's an elder who looks over the missionaries, right? So he's looking at this log back at the old church, and he notices that they never came home. So he goes out and starts going door to door to find them. Well, no luck, right? He goes to Mr. Reed's door. So they have a little chance to do a little, you know, escapee act. Not going to tell you what happens there either. The whole thing with Eric, right? Dumbass. Right, from the 70s show. He shows up and he's like, have you seen these girls? And Hugh Grant's like, oh, Mr. Reed. He's like, No, I haven't seen them at all. No. I wish I could help. So there's some tension building there, and you're like, oh no, what's going to happen? Is he going to kill him? Is this, is he going to find something? Is he going to see the bikes that they left outside? Right? You never know. I mean, it's a movie. Well, none of that happens. That is a little bit of a spoiler, but not really, because it's funny, because Topher Grace ends up leaving. Then he comes right back, knocks on the door. Mr. Reed is like, oh no, he's finally got me. He's totally going to get me now. But he's not. He's got a pamphlet for LDS, and he's like, I had to ask you if you have one of these. And he's like, oh, no, I don't, but I'll take it. Meanwhile, before he said he's got like hundreds of them. Meanwhile, he knows everything. So, towards the end of the movie, they're trying to, get out. Spoilers, leave it in the comments. Here comes the spoilers. So, if you don't want to hear them, tune out now, watch the film, pop back, catch this up. There is a scene where he's like, they're freaking out. And he's like, I found the true God, right? Do you want to know what that is, right? Do you want to witness a true miracle?
Do not be afraid. You will witness a miracle.
So they're in the dungeon, and it's super duper creepy, and there's like a table down there, and they're just dripping, and at the top of the dungeon area, there's like a window, and there's like dead butterflies on there, and they're just freaking out, right? Then this zombie lady comes in with a blueberry pie. There's the blueberry pie the whole time. So at first I was like, that's his wife. She's a creepy old zombie lady in a dungeon, right? And she's got a lantern. She comes out, she sits down, and then Hugh Grant, Mr. Reed, I should say, he's like, look, I put poison in that pie, wolf's bane and whatnot. She's gonna die, and it's gonna be a miracle because she's a prophet, and she's gonna come back from the dead right in front of you. And they're like freaking out, right? She eats the blueberry pie all close up and gross, right? Looking like the Duchess and looking like the nun. And she's just eating it, and it's close up in the mouth, black, blah, blah, blah. Then she like spits stuff out, right? And then boom, she's dead. And they're like, ah. And then Mr. Reed's like, now check her pulse, see if she's dead. Check it. And they're like, no, we don't want to. And he's like, check her bloody pulse. And they're like, ah. So he makes them check it. She's dead. Bunch of stuff happens. Not going to get super duper spoiler here. Want you guys to comment and tell me what you think. Maybe we could have a chit chat back and forth about it. The elder, I should say, Eric, stops by. And then there's the prophet behind Sister P. Yeah. And she says some stuff. In comes Mr. Reed. And then he helps the old, prophet lady. And he's like, she's a prophet. And, she looked like the nun. She's pretty creepy. And then he whips out like this little pamphlet. Whatever, notepad. And he's like, what did you see? Tell me what you saw. And then, Sister B's always kind of like, Rrr. And Sister P's always like, yeah, like, you know what that means. Anyway, so then Sister P's like, oh, well, she said this and that, quoting what, the zombie lady said, the prophet. But it's not what she said at all. And, Hugh Grant's taking notes, yeah. And then all of a sudden, big spoiler, right? They're chit-chatting back and forth. Taco Bell comes up, right? Not the down below incident, but, So he ends up cutting Sister B's throat with a box cutter. She's bleeding out. Earlier, when they were sitting on the couch in the living room, beginning of the film, he noticed a scar on her arm, which is like a birth control implant. I don't know if he thought it was a tracking device or something. That was mentioned. A little weird there. I don't know. But he cuts that out. He tries to dig it out, and that's pretty gross. He's like digging in there. She's already dead. And he ends up pulling out a vein, and he's like, oh, that's a vein. And she's, Sister P's like, and he finally gets it out. Again, spoilers. So he's like, don't worry, she's going to come back. She's, it's a miracle. She's going to come back. She doesn't come back. And he's like, well, guess she didn't come back. So at that point, Sister P's trying to book it. She's trying to get out of there. She's like, I'm out. But she must have forgotten. She can't get out. So what ends up happening is she remembers what Sister B told her. She was like, in order to get away from him, you have to confront him on his ideas and get him all confused and whatnot, and angry, and then so on and so forth. So that's what she does. And then she says, you know what? That wasn't a prophet. That lady wasn't dead. Somehow you switched the bodies. It was a trick. And he's like, oh, it was a trick, eh? And she's like, yeah, that's right. It's a trick. There must be a door somewhere. And he's like, there's no doors here. And, she sees the water dripping underneath the table, and so she moves the table. She kind of like dusts himself off. There's a trap door, and she's like, that's it, there's the door. And she's like, that's how you did it. And he's like, well, then there must be a dead body down there, right? And she's like, yeah, there's a dead body down there, probably. And he's like, well, you gotta go in and check it out. And she's like, well, I'm not gonna do that. Nope, that's what she should have said. But instead she's like, all right, I'll go right down. And she does, and guess what? Dead body right there. Well, Hugh Grant's following her. Spoilers. Not gonna tell you everything again, but, you know, spoilers. She goes in, she ends up going through like several different rooms, all broken down by denomination of religious, you know, you got the Torah, you got the Judaism room, you got Christianity, you've got, I don't even remember all this stuff. But she goes through all these different rooms, kind of like a horror room like myself I've got here, but it's all religious. And then in the last room, you see the bike for the lock for the bikes. I'll get it right. So she goes through that, and then she sees like a bunch of dog cages full of women, right? And then there's Hugh Grant, and he's like, the true God is control. And he's like, yeah, everybody controls everybody. And every religion is all about control, and blah, 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 blah. And there's a lot of stuff going on. Not going to give you the whole thing, but that was it. And you're like, what's going on now? And then, yeah. So, again, don't want to give away the whole movie. Don't want to tell all about the spoilers or the ending. You know, let's discuss later. Tell me what you think in the comments. Please like and subscribe. The Heretic. The movie, that's what we reviewed. Pretty good one. Hugh Grant, gotta love it. Please like and subscribe. I'm Spooky Steve. Stay tuned for more good stuff. Love you guys. And on second thought, I'll be seeing you in your nightmares.